Okay, so hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another podcast episode. You guys, the first thing I would love to just say that how are you feeling the weather in Kampala? Now it has been over 8 days straight and it has been raining. It has been raining cats and dogs over the night, during the day, so it is absolutely very, very cold. That's why I have on this, fluffy kind of jumper jacket going on. But nevertheless, how are you all doing, guys? I hope you find it well. Welcome back to another podcast episode. I'm so excited, especially when I know that I'm going to be sitting down and recording some podcast episode for you guys. How have you been? I hope you are amazing. I hope you are well. Welcome to another one. Today's podcast episode is going to be all about the power of silence. Yes, I think that it's high time I talked about the power of silence, because I used to do this series back in the day, which were not actually podcast episodes, but they were specifically targeted to informing you or inspiring you or making you realize that not every person you talk to and tell your business that they're actually very interested and they wish you all the best. And I have a couple of friends who have actually brought this more, who have showed me more light when it comes to this topic. A couple of friends that actually recently I have met, and we have made connections, and day after day it actually just stamps on it that not every person out there is wishing you all the best, and not every person you are telling your business they're actually interested. And especially if you are coming from an African kind of society or setting, such as myself, or such as you who happens to be a Ugandan or who comes from an African society, you know that a lot of things most of the time they tend to go the opposite way, basing on who you did tell in your family and basing on the circumstance of what did happen. So if you know about that, because also here there are a lot of different things, aspects to put into consideration, consequences. A lot of people do believe in juju. I do believe that juju is there. That's why I don't want to indulge or get in contact with anyone who believes or thinks that way, but I'm quite sure that thing do exists, and I'm also quite sure that there are people who believe in it. I'm a person who doesn't judge anyone, but I have a strong feeling of the negative juju and the positive juju. So those people who most of the time we tell our concerns and our plans and our goals and our wins, most of the time they tend to go to the negative juju, if that makes sense. If you don't know juju, here we call it obusamize, obokuloga, something like that. But nevertheless, I just wanted to say that before we dive into the topic, so that you can have a clear picture of the topic we are going to be discussing. Some things to keep silent about. I have grown up in a society, or specifically a family. I'm a person who looks at family dynamics very, very absolutely important, especially as I grow older and older and older, because there are a lot of different aspects I look at right now, and I just realized that my mother or my father were actually very, very strong people, very, very absolutely strong people, to see even that they have raised us to this moment in time, and they are raising their grandchildren to this moment in time. Otherwise, it actually requires a lot of effort, dedication, sacrifices, and a lot of keeping quiet. And if I say a lot of keeping quiet, I'm meaning a lot of keeping quiet. But nevertheless, I just wanted to start with that so that you guys can have a clear image of where I come from when I'm talking about this topic. As I said earlier on, I used to do this topic, but I never actually gave it a lot of time, because also maybe I didn't know how much strong it was, as I know it right now. Yeah. But before I dive into the podcast episode, if this is the first time you are hearing this podcast episode, hi there, I'm tanyanishailoc. Welcome to the show. This is the tanyanishailoc show, where actually I sit down, digest different issues by myself, or when I get visitors over, we sit down, we digest these issues, and make it a point that you give me some feedback in the comment section below. It might be about the audio. I'm making it a point that I improve the audio almost every day, so let me know, because sometimes it tends to be very, very tricky. And also let me know your reviews when it comes to the kind of content you would love to listen to or see here on the channel. And above all, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment. It helps you get notified whenever I have a new podcast episode out. Yep. So the power of silence and 5 things you should keep private. I'm a person who, makes notes so that I'm conscious about everything I'm going to be saying. The first thing, guys, I would love to talk about, this is finances. And when it comes to finances, I have specific things I want to talk about. I've grown up in a community, not even I think a community, because I believe family, that's where everything starts from. I've grown up in a family where our family kind of situation when it comes to finances was not the best and was not the worst. So we are always in the middle when it comes to acquiring different things. But that doesn't mean that there were no different seasons or there were no different kind of days where we completely lacked, and that engraved in me, I would say, a bipolar kind of situation where I'm not a person who fears that tomorrow money is not going to be there, but I'm also not a person who's going to get scared of spending money. But I want to spend my money respectfully or in the right way with plan. I want to always have a plan in place, if that makes sense. And I think this reflects very well to the family where I came from, that money was there, but it was not there in too high and in too low, that we never lacked, but sometimes we did lack, if that makes sense. I think, guys, you're understanding the point I'm trying to cut across. So coming from that particular background, I've grown up to understand that most of the time, it is very, very absolutely important to keep some money issues to yourself, if that makes sense. It's okay to share money issues with some people you are comfortable with. I might share money issues with people who are very, very close to me. Maybe I can share them with my close friends, close family members. And I'm saying close, quote me right, close, not meaning that every friend of yours, every family members of yours, you would actually call them and tell them that, you tell them your business when it comes to money. You call them, you tell them I did 100,000 Ugandan shillings, or I have made over 2 million Ugandan shillings. That is not what I'm meaning. I'm meaning this person, you have to be close to them enough to know and believe that when you tell them something, they are willing to keep their mouth shut, and they are willing to also support you through or stand in for you or be happy for you according to the situation that has happened, if that makes sense, And money and finances is one thing that is very, very, I think, sensitive to a lot of people. Some people, they don't even want to know, how much money you do make. Some people, they don't want to know how much money you are spending. Some people don't want even to know how much, you are struggling with when it comes to money. But you'll always find your tribe when it comes to people you can always share your finances with the way how people react. I'm a firm believer in reaction and reading people's mind, not people's minds, but people's energy and the way how they handle themselves towards me. And for me, that is always the first green or red flag, the way how you talk about money, the way how you relate with money, the way how, you interact when it comes to money, when you're buying something, the way how you spend. For me, those are some of the green or red flags that I base on to realize that this is a kind of a person that I want to keep to my tribe. And most of the time, if I have an issue with money, it is very, very absolutely okay to go in and share. But otherwise, please do not share. A lot of people don't want to know. A lot of people have ill intentions, when it comes to finances. A lot of people are just waiting for that moment. You tell them that I did finally get this job, which is paying me 5 million Ugandan shillings, and they start going around doing foolishness. And foolishness, if you're around Uganda, you know that people actually indulge in real foolishness when it comes to other people's finances. People are going to juju you. People are going to kuloga you so that even you lose that job. As I said earlier on, I do believe in these things. They do exist. That is absolute truth. If that is not the fact, they might even, pass behind your back. They try, in Luganda we call it your kulime mpindi mabega. They start talking ill things about you, towards your job, towards your employers, towards people in your circle, which in the long run may lead you to lose your job. And also, there's another thing I want to say. Not every person that you are telling business about your finances are actually very interested to know. And I'm repeating this because some of them are just looking out for that small something they can know about you, so that they can use it either to talk about you, gossip about you in your friends or family or people you know, so that even you lose ties with them. So you have to be very, very absolutely, careful when it comes to finances and people you tell you about your finances, your money, your bank account, how you spend, how you do all those different things. I've grown up to understand this over time. I'm a person who used to come here and share almost everything, but the old me can't do that thing right now, because right now I've come to understand that the more I'm growing more into a man and a full human being, there are things I'm supposed to keep to myself and people who are close to me. And the most important thing is that when you share these money issues with people who are close to you, most of the time they have the experience to motivate you, to uplift you, to tell you do this and do that and do that. And most of the time that comes from a sense or a perspective which is not jealousy, which is only supportive and wishing you all the best. Yeah, I think I've tackled that point very, very absolutely well. Maybe the other thing I can talk about, money and sharing, financial issues is that that doesn't mean that you don't have to share. You can share, but not sharing to them detail. I can come here and I tell you I did get a gig, and it's paying me very well. I've disclosed, but I've not given the details. That might be to me, that might be to another person. And also I'm not entitled, or you are not entitled to tell any person your finances when they are not interested or when they don't ask you. Yes, so I think I've exploited that point very, very absolutely well. Making the point that you are very curious, you are very intentional about people you are sharing your finances with, because not all people wish you well, and you have to just be very, very calculative and knowing the repercussions of such people who tend to give you ill validation, and yet the real thing is that they are not giving you that which is truest to the circumstance of your finance. And yeah, I think I've exploited that point very, very absolutely well. The other thing, guys, I would love to talk about that I am quite sure that right now you should not, and this is a should not, share completely, except again from people in your circle. This is your special plans and goals. I am a person who strongly believes in having systems in place right now than never before. And most of the time systems come up because you have learned to carry yourself with a particular sense of humor, and also with a particular sense of goal and planning and goal setting, if that makes sense. And I think this is absolutely very, very important, because also not a lot of people you are telling your plans and goals, they wish you well. A lot of people, they are waiting for that particular small portion, as I said earlier on, to see you fall, so that they can be able to, be happy that, if I fail, you have also failed, so we are in the same category. Girl, not every person that you think that wishes you well actually wishes you well. Most of them are failures, and they want people to go down with. They want people to fail with, So you have to keep this at the back of your mind, my dear. Not all people who are trying to teeth with you around, they are actually in harmony with your plans and goals. Most of the time, people have very, very sensitive plans and goals that they even don't need to be talked about, whatever the case may be, because when you talk about them, you might get different opinions and options, which actually might indulge in letting your plans and goals befall the wrong way. So you have to be very, very, very absolutely careful when it comes to this particular point of keeping plans and goals to yourself. You might go on to tell your mother, and when I say your mother, you have to also be very careful. your parents or your siblings or people around you, do you fully trust them 100% to tell them about your goals and plans and things you are working on? Are you very, very careful? Do you trust them like 100%? Because if you don't, please don't tell them, And also, when it comes to friends, I'm a person who trusts, I think, friends more than I trust my own, if that makes sense. Because most of the time, even people in our family circles, they tend to act in a very oblivious way, which is not supportive, which they want to see yourself and them falling in the same pit. Most of the time, they are not in support or in harmony, that you are working harder than them and you're getting more money and you are planning all these different things. So they might indulge in giving you different opinions that may, end up distorting your original plans and goals. And for me, it has been friends. A lot of my friends are like very, very absolutely supportive, very, very absolutely supportive, and I don't have like these very cling friends that most of the time I'm clinging with them around, but I'm quite sure that if they give me their word, they have given me their word. That's why most of the time I also do it out of my spirit to make it a point that we keep this friendship thriving, but nevertheless, guys, make it a point that you look into also this point, very, 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 very absolutely critical and important, that not every person who teeth with you around, they wish you well. Your goals and plans should be your goals and plans. Also, I'm not meaning that you should completely keep quiet when it comes to your goals and plans, because also, as Maya Angelou says, that no person can coexist alone. You might tend to get this small information, but not going in deep details. For example, if I'm going to be starting up a company in 5 years from now, but I need information about licensing, I need information about the place, so I ask people around me, but I don't ask them with details, if that makes sense. I might tell them, for example, I'm going to use a name, Mary. Mary, you know what? How do you think this place will work when it comes to starting up this company? Or have you ever heard something about licensing when it comes to this particular kind of business? That is very, very, indirect, and they are going to give you the information so that you can do the background check for yourself. Instead of you coming up and telling them, you know what, Mary, I'm going to be starting up this company. I need this license. I have this money. Boom. If that makes sense, especially if it's a person who you don't trust 100%, I hope you guys are taking notes. This is absolutely very important. I've learned it right now that most of the time it's important. Like IMPORT, I don't know if even that is the spelling, to keep plans and goals to yourself. Also, I think the other advantage that comes with that is that in case things don't come out the way how you thought they would come out, if you don't have any person to pay attribution, or you don't have to give accountability to any person else, because at the end of the day, no one knew, and that is the luxury when it comes to human behavior, because I think that we have been given the tools in order to run our lives, but wisely upfront or in our brains. So I think I've exploited to that point very, very absolutely well when it comes to goals and plans, and always keeping your plans and goals to yourself. Yes. So the third thing, guys, I'd love to talk about, and this is something which it is also very, very sensitive according to a lot of different people. These are relationships. Relationships. So someone might say, Tanya, you are not supposed to talk about relationships because you have not been in a relationship before. I know it, my dear, but I've been in relationships of friendships. I've been in relationships of especially friendships, and I think, in my own opinion, friendships and relationships, real relationships, they have very, very little, diverging or separating line, if that makes sense. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section below. But I think there is something very, very small that, separates them. I think right now, according to how much I've seen when it comes to human relationships, and friendships, it's that most of the time, even people who are in relationships are friends already, So I think I have something small also to talk about that. Relationships, I think it's something which is very, very sentimental, and something which is very, very, a private, especially when it comes to the African setting, And I think for people to come out and share their relationships, most of the time I would love them to be, in my own opinion, to be official. They are married, their husbands, their wives, all that particular kind of stuff. Then I don't have issues with them. But also those particular relationships, I think there are cut points, or there are deficiencies where you have to stop. You have to have a limiting factor of how much you do share. I love reading, and in this book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, there is a particular portion where Dr. Murphy actually talks about relationships and talks about people who always goes out to talk about their relationships, their marriage with other people, and yet those people they are sharing the relationships with, they are not interested, or they have ill treats towards them. So they will use that as an opportunity to either bring you down or degrade you or devalue you, or all that particular kind of stuff. Also, when it comes to relationships of boyfriend, girlfriend, all that particular stuff, I think it's very, very important that you keep these things to yourself, very, very absolutely, because I think that is the most special, private, what is the best word I can use to articulate out this thought I have? This is the most kind of vital, delicate, I think is the word I was trying to look for, delicate kind of situation you have to be, very, very careful about, because things might not work out. And that is the reality. You might not want to hear this, but things might not work out. So you coming on your social media, posting this person, saying good things about them. Actually, they would have done good things, but going over the board, to even inform us things as people on social media, which are very, very private to you guys. That doesn't have to work. That doesn't have to work at all. Remember that in our circles or people around us, most of the time they are looking for different things. And the Bible also says this, that your enemies will be people in your house. It means that your enemies will be people in your circle, So when you are sharing yourself 100%, people are seeing and people are watching. They are getting clues on how to devalue you and, how to put you down. A person can use your relationship to put you down. A person might use different options of how you are presenting your relationship to make sure that you don't succeed in that relationship. That might be talking about your partner, something that, is not either in their past or something also in your past, and they try to always bring it up to yourself or your partner. Already they are drawing, or they are digging a ditch. They are digging already a ditch that they want both of you to fall in. A lot of friends around us who are not like intentional friends, or people we did call into our lives intentionally, most of the time they don't wish us well. And this is one thing that I want to inform you, my dear. And I'm going to say it again. Not every person teasing with you wishes you all the best. So keeping some of these things when it comes to relationship to yourself, you are saving yourself a particular instance. You are saving yourself a particular moment in the future where things, if they didn't work out, you don't have to give explanation to anyone. You also don't have to give accountability to anyone according how to your relationship did go, or according to how things did turn out. You are also saving yourself energy, because you know that humans, or generally the human kind of realm where we live with energy. And whenever you end up spending a lot of your energy explaining to people certain things, convincing people, no one wants to be convinced. If that person is yours, it's yours, no one needs to be convinced, And this is also another thing that I think a lot of people pleasers have. Most of the time I go through social media and I'm looking through WhatsApp or Instagram or any other social media platform I'm passing on, and it actually dreads my mind. It actually deteriorates my brain cells, looking at the way how these people are touching themselves on social media, I call it touching because at the end of the day, this is your relationship. It's not our relationship, I'm not saying you should not share, but there are things you should not share, Like recently, I was seeing this particular girl touching herself over and over again about this particular relationship they were in. And at the backstory, the closest friend actually, it started saying some things which were very very detrimental to their relationship, to the boyfriend or to the partner, and things did not work out. She was here crying all over social media. She was here talking about losing a friendship and a relationship at the same time. And I was thinking that if in the first place you were not, in a position where you had to present always, your relationship to your friends, especially friends who are not intentional. And I'm saying friends who are not intentional because sometimes, because of our circumstances, we tend to attract subconsciously people who are not intentional in our lives, and they end up being the most destructive people in our lives. So that's why I'm saying non-intentional friends, So she ended up losing money, relationship, all those different things because of me always sharing all these things to friends and on social media and to people who were not, willing and having the quality, to be able to receive this particular information when it comes to her relationship. So I think I've talked a little bit much about that, but my key point is that keep your relationship to yourself. That relationship is yours. You might share a little bit. Hey guys, I'm in a relationship right now. That's good. That's fine. Hi guys, I have a boyfriend or I have a girlfriend right now. That's good. That's fine. Maybe once in a while you can meet up. Maybe it can be on social media or in family gathering or with people around you, but don't give them the details, what they eat, what they drink, where you guys go, where you guys do, la 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 la. No one needs to know about that. And if there are people who need to know, they are trying to use it, to bring you down. Yep. I think I've talked about that very, very well because I'm a person who is always in friendships and I know how friendships work. They almost work the same way as relationships. I don't want to talk more about marriage because I've never been married, but what I understand right now is that people who are married, I think they have that particular validity of sharing what is happening in their relationship for a reason or two, but also they should have cross lines, especially sharing the relationship with family members, with aunties and uncles and grandparents and all that. But so the time those turn out to be the most destructive people in our relationships or in our lives. Yup. So I think I've exploited that particular point very, very absolutely well. And I want to go to the next point right now. This is family issues and family affairs. Family issues and family affairs. Let me even sit again back up. Very, very important because a family is one of the most important thing. East and West, our families are the standard base of what helps us to evolve and grow and achieve and be everything that we need in the world. Oh, they can be the root or the start of our destruction. Quote me right when it comes to that. Those people around in your family can be the most supportive, most nourishing, most uplifting, most loving, most courageous, peaceful, serene people in your lives. But again, they can be the start of your downfall and the reason why you are stuck where you are stuck, believe it or not. So we have to be very, 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 very private and delicate when it comes to sharing family issues, especially with people who we don't completely have ties and strong relationships with. And I'm saying that because most of the time family issues tend to be very, very sensitive issues. Very, very sensitive issues. It might be, within the same family, or it can be, outside the family. It's a two-way, and I'm going to start breaking it out from inside the family. So, inside the family, there are a lot of things that happen to our siblings, our parents, our sisters, our uncles, that happen to us business-wise, social-wise, relationship-wise, that most of the time you do not need to share with your immediate or with your close kind of family members, according to the history you know about them. And coming from a society, an African society, where that a lot of things exist, especially things that concern, the spirit world, please be careful who you are sharing information, even within your family with. even within your family with, because not every person, even in your family, wishes you well. And I want to shout out this very, very loudly so that you can know. Not even the person in your family sometimes wishes you well. You have to have gone on a very particular intentional journey to identify out that this person and this person in my family, I can go on to share with them my own family issues, either, with my girlfriend or my wife or my, anything like that. You have to have the guts to go on an intentional journey to find out who can be supportive. Not every person you are going to be telling in your family your financial issues are going to be, in a position to support you and uplift you and encourage you. That's the point I'm trying to cut across. That is the first point within your family. The second one, which falls under this, it is from outside in. People outside, friends, especially friends and people you have just found, your workmates, people from where you work from, people you find in different conditions, people you befriend on the sidewalk. Not all of them need to know about your family affairs, except those few selected ones that you can trust and that they can be able to keep up with what you are going to be sharing. And I'm serious when it comes to this, because I've realized that a lot of people have gone out and shared their family issues also to people outside their families, and it has come back and beat them in the ass. That is absolutely very, very true. You have to be very, very careful, talking about your family issues and family affairs with friends, with your workmates. Most of the time, these are people who want to see or who want to vividly understand where you come from, so that they use options in order to calculate your downfall, or in order to use those options in order to weigh you out, what you deserve, what you don't deserve, in other words, to calculate your downfall. You have to be very careful when it comes to your family issues. Very, very absolutely careful. Very, very absolutely careful, so that you don't talk this and that and that and that about your family, about your siblings, about your parents to people you don't know, to people you don't know. I'm a person who can share, especially when it comes to my family issues, to only, and I'm saying only with this one eye, only, meaning I'm serious, only, only people I'm trusting 100%, and that's the person I'm going to tell my family issues. I'm going to tell you about my mother, I'm going to tell you about my father, I'm going to tell you about the financial, situation in my family, I'm going to tell you about my relationships with my siblings, I'm going to tell you this and that and that, but only when I trust you. Only when I trust you. Otherwise, I'm not going to be going all over the streets talking about my family issues, because at the end of the day, especially people, close friends, they might pass me in the back, and they circulate all this information to other people in the community or other people around me, and this information might reach my siblings, my family, and they might end up saying, and again, Tanya, why do you have to say this? You are breaking us up and you are doing us that. And that's the last thing I would love to listen to, or that's the last thing I would love to interact with. So you have to be very, very careful when it comes to family issues. People who have grown up in African societies, or people who have grown up in societies where a family is the starting base of everything, they know this. A family can be the starting point of your success or a starting point of your downfall. But again, I want to emphasize this. I'm not meaning that you have to completely keep quiet. There are different instances that you have to share, my dear. There are different instances, for God's sake, that you have to share when it comes to family. I'm talking about crime-related things. I'm talking about things that deprive and deteriorate your dignity as a person. These are things you should talk about. Don't keep quiet because you heard me say that. Tanya say that you have to keep family affairs to yourself. You are being there tortured, defiled, raped, violated because it's a family member, and you are not talking about you have to talk about those things. But the things I'm talking about, they are things that are very, very, selective, that are not harmful directly. I'm talking about financial issues. I'm talking about your family dynamics, relationships. I'm talking about all those different things. Yep. So I think I've also tackled that point very, very absolutely well. Let me in the comment section below if you have something very small to add on to this point, because I think it's a very, very, very sensitive point, and I would love to hear your contribution towards this particular point. Yep. So this brings me to the last last thing I would love to talk about when it comes to today's episode or podcast episode. This is going to be your struggles and failures, especially when you are not ready to share them. This is also very, 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 very absolutely important. I don't know how I can stress this, but it's absolutely very, very important to always keep your failures and struggle to yourself. Keep them to yourself until when you are willing and able to stand up for yourself in instances where you have shared and people have not taken you right. I've learned this over time. Right now, I'm 24 years of age, meaning that I've been able to live a little bit when it comes to my 20s. And there are circumstances I've faced and I've been able to share them, and it came back to me, bit me in the ass because I was not ready, and I was literally not ready to share them at the right time. Allow yourself to heal from the struggles. Allow yourself to heal from the failures before you come into the camera, for those on social media, or before you go into your friends and blast yourself about your struggles and failure. Allow yourself to have a grip, a strong grip. And when I'm saying a grip, I'm meaning a strong grip, towards your intentions, towards your strength before you come out and share. Because people are going to use all that you are going to be telling them to degrade you, to break you down, to show you that you are literally nothing. I've been in such circumstances before where even my closest friends never wanted to interact with me because of my failures. And I know how it feels. I know how it breaks. If that makes sense, you can feel it deep in your bones to truly know that a person you loved and cared for and cherished, they're the person who are right now breaking you down and leading to your downfall because of what they are saying, because of what they are, attributing towards you, because of what they are saying about you, because of the way how they are behaving towards you. That is the worst case scenario that you can ever experience as a human being living in this world. So make it a point that you keep your struggles and failures to yourself. Not all these people around you actually want to listen and hear and be happy for you. They don't. Most of them want to see you fail. Most of them want to see you lose that contract. Most of them want to see you on the roadside, poor and bankrupt. So you have to be very, very absolutely careful. And I think I'm throwing more light on this because I know how important it is, being a person who has failed on a lot of different levels. Right now, I can come over here and talk about my failure and talk about things that haven't gone well over time, but because I've grown a muscle on top of me, I've grown a spiritual muscle. I've grown that spiritual, physical, interaction with human beings that when I do share and someone laughs over me or someone takes it away how they have taken it, it's not going to pain me. It's not going to, lead me to cancel off my programs and plans. I can do that because over time I've been able to grow and evolve and understand that is how human relations do work. You might not be me. You might be starting right now from the bottom. You have to grow that. That's why I'm telling you that keep your struggles and failures to yourself. Figure out everything by yourself or with a small group of people before you come out to inspire and aspire and promote resiliency in people, because not all people are going to wish you well. Not all people are going to be able to uplift you. Not all people are going to be able to stand for you. And that is the absolute truth that I want to inform you today, my sister, my brother, every person who's watching. Not all people wish you well. And I want you to know this. Not all people wish you well. So as long as you're going to share your failure, they are going to use that same failure to always bring you down, to devalue you, to make you feel that you are small, to make you feel that you are valueless, to make you feel that you are not important, And I'm talking this from experience because being 24, I've actually seen a couple of scenarios where people initially wanted to show that they were validating me, but actually they were passing me behind the back and they were completely doing the opposite. And I want to also say that courage is the best word to use when it comes to such things. You have to be courageous enough. Courage is one of the most important values values that a lot of us human beings, we do not have, and yet we should have. Without courage, you don't have a future. That's one thing I always say, and courage grows with time. Allow courage to carry you, and you will see how much power you do possess as a human being. And I'm not saying that one day you're going to wake up and be courageous, that is not what I mean. I mean practice even the slightest courage, and this might be such as, who owns this phone? Take it away. This is my desk. That is the slightest form of courage you can ever carry. The second one might be, who knocked on my door? This time is not for visiting. Please go. And that is courage, And with time, you'll be able to grow into this courageous human being, even when you are violated, even when you are taken for granted because of what you are sharing. You can stand up for yourself and you have the guts to say, you know what, I did share it because I wanted this and this and this, or because it was for that and that intention. So my dears and brothers and sisters and brethrens, just be very, very careful according to what you do share, especially when it comes to your struggles and failures, Right now where I am, I can literally sit here and talk about my failures because I've grown that muscle, as I told you earlier on, and it can be able to stimulate and inspire and uplift, which is my truest intention. But you going on streets and crying, oh my god, I lost this, I lost my job, I lost my children, I failed this, I'm so miserable, I'm doing this and this. Within the circle of people around you, there are people jubilating and happy all over the moon, saying that, oh my god, that is what I wanted for her. That is what I wanted for him, So you have to be very, very careful about the people you share information with. The only thing I can leave you with is that courage. Let courage carry you. Let courage be your friend. Because I know it can be hard when you are starting out to practice this virtue, but I promise you when you practice it, it's going to be very, very absolutely simple and easy to tap into other values such as integrity and all those other values that are absolutely very, 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 very important, such as creativity. And you will witness with me that your life will be in a much more better and sweeter place. Yup. I think, guys, I've been able to share a lot in today's podcast episode, and I think it's high time I did finish it. Let me in the comment section below, what was that point, one or two, that did stand out for you, that you are sure I touched at the base of your heart. Let me also know what other podcast episode you would love me to talk about in the next podcast episode. The other thing I want to talk about is that everything I've talked in today's podcast episodes are completely my own opinions. And my truest intention is to help you see yourself from a position where you are not going to be degraded because of your own mouth, because of the things you are sharing. You are not going to be broken down because of your own mouth, if that makes sense, because of your own thoughts. If you don't know this, thoughts have the capability to create our reality. It's one thing I'm hoping to talk about in one of the upcoming podcast episodes, but you also have to be very, very important about what you think, because what you think, most of the time, it's going to come out of your mouth. I'm a person who also somehow struggles with this, but I've come to a moment in my life where right now, being a person who reads a lot, have come to understand that most of the time you completely adhere to a habit through repetitive practice, if that makes sense, and I think in today's podcast episode, I've been able to be more clear about what I wanted to communicate. Let me in the comment section below what others would love to hear about. I want to wish you a very amazing week ahead, and let me meet you in next time podcast episode. I'm tanyanishailoc, Ugandan beauty and lifestyle content creator. Don't forget to subscribe, to like, to comment, and share out with friends and family. And Tanyanishailoc switching out. Bye for now.